What if the battle you're facing isn't just external, but something deeper, something unseen? Why do some struggles feel stronger than your willpower, no matter how hard you try? And what if true freedom doesn't come from fighting harder, but from being released from what holds you? There are situations in life that go beyond what we can easily explain. Moments where behavior doesn't seem to match intention, where actions don't reflect desire, and where something feels out of control. These are not simple struggles. They are complex, layered, and often hidden beneath the surface. Imagine a man living in isolation, not by choice, but by condition. Cut off from normal life, disconnected from relationships, and unable to function in a way that others would understand. People don't come near him. They avoid him. Not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to help. His life has become defined by chaos. Not just occasional difficulty, but constant unrest. No peace, no stability, no sense of control. Attempts have been made to restrain him, to manage the situation, to bring some level of order, but nothing has worked. Every effort has failed. And over time, something else happens. He becomes known not by who he is, but by what he struggles with. This is one of the most difficult parts of any deep struggle, when identity is replaced by condition. When a person is no longer seen as themselves, but only as their problem. Isolation grows, and with it, hopelessness. Because when no solution works, it begins to feel like there is no solution. This is where many people give up. Not always visibly, not always dramatically, but internally. They stop expecting change. They stop believing things can be different, and they begin to accept what should never be accepted. But then something unexpected happens. A presence enters the situation. Not cautiously, not at a distance, but directly. Where others avoided, this presence approaches. Where others stepped back, this presence steps forward. And immediately there is a reaction. Because when something real enters a place of chaos, it creates a response. The man who had been out of control suddenly recognizes something, not in a calm, measured way, but in a way that shows awareness beyond his current state. This moment is important, because it reveals that even in the deepest struggle, there is still recognition, still awareness, still something within that responds to what is true. This means that no matter how far someone feels from themselves, something remains, something that can still respond, something that has not been completely lost. And this is where the shift begins. There is an encounter, not just physical, but deeper. A confrontation between what is broken and what brings restoration. And in this confrontation, something is exposed. Not hidden anymore, not covered, but revealed. Because before something can be changed, it often has to be brought into the open. What was controlling the situation is now visible. And once it is visible, it can be addressed. This is a powerful principle. Because many struggles remain strong simply because they stay hidden, unspoken, unacknowledged, unseen. But once brought into the light, they begin to lose their hold. There is also something about authority in this moment. Not loud, not forced, but undeniable. An authority that does not negotiate, does not struggle, but speaks with clarity, and what once seemed unmovable begins to shift. Resistance gives way, control is broken, and something that had been holding on is forced to release. This is not gradual, it is decisive, and the change is immediate. What once defined the man no longer holds him. What once controlled him no longer has power. And for the first time in a long time, there is stillness, clarity, peace. This transformation is not just external, it is internal. The man is no longer reacting uncontrollably. He is no longer driven by something he cannot resist. He is present, aware, restored. This is what real freedom looks like. Not just the absence of struggle, but the presence of control, clarity, and peace. There is also something significant about how others respond. Those who witness the change are not immediately relieved. They are unsettled. Because something powerful has happened, and it challenges what they understand. It disrupts their expectations, and instead of focusing on the restoration, they focus on the disruption. This happens often. When something changes dramatically, not everyone responds with acceptance. Some respond with discomfort, because change can feel threatening when it doesn't fit within what is familiar. This reveals another layer, that not everyone will understand your transformation. Not everyone will celebrate your freedom. Some may even prefer the version of you that was controlled, predictable, or limited. because it was easier for them to process. But real change does not depend on others' comfort. It stands on its own. The man who was restored does not return to isolation. He does not go back to what he was. He moves forward. And this is important. Because freedom is not just about being released. It is about what you do next. It is about how you live after the change, how you carry the transformation into everyday life. And there is a desire to stay close to what brought that change, a natural response. But instead of staying, he is sent, not away from purpose, but into it, to share what has happened, to become a reflection of transformation, to show others that change is possible. This is how impact grows, not just through events, but through people, through stories, through lived experiences, because what has been restored can now be used to reach others. And this creates a ripple effect. One life changed begins to influence others. One story becomes many. One moment of freedom spreads into something larger. This is why transformation matters, not just personally, but collectively. Because when one person breaks free, it creates the possibility for others to do the same. There is also a deeper question here. What is holding you? What is influencing your actions in ways you don't fully understand? What patterns feel stronger than your intentions? These may not be extreme. They may be subtle. Habits, thoughts, reactions. But if they control you, they limit you. And recognizing them is the first step. Because you cannot change what you refuse to see. You cannot break free from what you pretend is not there. But once acknowledged, something shifts. Awareness creates opportunity. And opportunity creates change. This does not mean everything will happen instantly. But it does mean that change is possible. That what feels permanent may not be. That what feels overwhelming can be addressed. And that freedom is not out of reach. It may not come through effort alone. It may not come through control. But it can come through release. Through encountering something greater than what holds you. Something that does not struggle with the problem but has authority over it. And when that authority is present, things change. Not always in the way expected, not always on the timeline desired. But change happens, and when it does, it is clear, undeniable, transformative. So again, the question becomes personal. What are you holding on to? Or what is holding on to you? Are you trying to manage it, control it, ignore it? Or are you ready to face it, to bring it into the light? To allow something deeper to address it? These are not easy questions, but they are necessary, because they lead to freedom. And freedom changes everything. Not just how you live, but who you become. From chaos to clarity, from isolation to connection, from control to peace. This is what transformation looks like, and it is possible, even when it feels far away, even when it seems unlikely, even when nothing else has worked. Because what truly brings change is not always what you expect. Sometimes it is something greater stepping into your situation, and everything shifting from there. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share it with someone who needs encouragement today. Your support helps spread this message of freedom and transformation to more people. And be sure to watch the full video to go deeper into this powerful story.